UFC flyweight Joshua Van is honestly smashing it within the last 48 hours by taking up one of the biggest opportunities within his UFC career and getting a win literally 2 days ago at UFC 316. Sky's the limit for Joshua Van, and honestly, he should be one of the most respectable fighters within the company of the UFC. But before I go more into it, if you guys can, please hit the subscribe button and let's again shoot for 10 likes on this video. Anyways, let's get into it. So Joshua Van, 2 days ago at UFC 316, was able to pull off a very exciting win, showcasing his, fun, exciting striking to a, broader audience watching a UFC 316 card. Literally the fight before the main card, it was his fight. And what was he able to do? He was able to get a third round finish over his opponent, Bruno Silva. And after that win, you know, there was a lot of other videos getting shared around like the day after about, buying his mom a house or paying off his mom the new house. And that obviously brought, a lot more attention to that situation, or a lot more attention to him specifically because, they like seeing, I guess philanthropic stuff whenever, athletes or, yeah, I would say generally athletes, whenever athletes or humans in general, kind of pay back in some certain way, whether it's their family, friends, other people, etc. It's always get shed in a good light, and Joshua Van did that, especially with his mother, by helping her out with the new house, and he was getting a lot of support for that. And then we get to yesterday's news, right? Manel Cap unfortunately pulled out of the fight because he had an injury to his leg. And this fight was honestly for the number one contendership of the UFC flyweight. I mean, at least if Manel Cap would have won, he probably would have gotten put within that spot of being the number one contender, since Brandon Royval is the number one contender of the UFC flyweight division. And with that situation happen, they needed a quick opponent to replace it to obviously save the day. And this is where the news gets better because Joshua Van steps up and he's around the 13, 14, 12 ranked flyweight. And for him to, take this fight short notice, obviously save the day, and especially if he gets a win and with the, audience and the support that he's been getting recently, this will bring honestly a big spark into not only just Joshua Van, but the UFC flyweight division, because there's a storyline heading into this fight, right? He just knocked out, his opponent at UFC 316. He's taking a short notice fight to go against Brandon Royval. Within just a few weeks later, he's fighting on UFC 317. And especially if he gets a win, oh my goodness. This reminds me a little bit of the Davison Figueiredo situation just a few years ago, where when he fought Alex Perez, he won that fight. There's stuff that fell through during the December pay-per-view, and they needed a quick turnaround event. They got Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno just fighting after, I think it was like 5 weeks. Yeah, this is just, Joshua Van is reminding me of that, but honestly, a lot shorter with just 3 weeks ahead. And yeah, there's no risk, high reward for Joshua Van in this fight. Even if he loses, he still gets a lot of fucking support. The UFC would be in great terms with this exciting prospect who is amazing on the feet, who could knock people out at 125. And like I said, if he wins, we get to see him go against Pantoja, right? And all the support will be for Joshua Van with just the recent events. And so yeah, I just want to make a video about this whole situation because I think a he's been killing it within the last 3 days, but also I feel like I should shed some light. And honestly, with the UFC fans, we should honestly respect Joshua Van. He should be one of the more respected fighters within the UFC just because of what he's been doing, saving fights, taking short notice fights, coming off of wins, exciting fights overall. And yeah, I just think, he definitely should be up there as one of the more respected UFC fighters, especially this year in 2025 with all the stuff that's honestly been happening this year. But yeah, man, I just want to talk about that. And if you guys enjoy this video and want more videos like this, please hit the like, comment, and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.